Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is February 2nd. Suarez is back with the Reds. The A's extend Wilson. Arraez to the Giants. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen? It is February. That means there will be baseball happening. We've made it to the final month, if we're in within the final month, I should say, before baseball is back. Pitchers and catchers are reporting what, 2 weeks from now? Not even. Like, we are in the final stages of the offseason. There are still plenty of free agents, plenty of players still available. A lot still is going to happen. Arbitrations are coming up as well. So there's still plenty of baseball news, and of course, baseball. Like, it's here. It's almost here. It's very exciting stuff here. With that being said, let's get into the news because there is a nice handful of things to discuss, starting with Eugenio Suarez is heading back to Cincinnati on a 1-year, $15 million deal with a mutual option for 2027. And if you're there, like, what do you mean back to Cincinnati? He was with the Mariners. He was with the Mariners. However, his whole career started, well, not in Cincinnati, but pretty much. So he spent a year in Detroit in 2014 before getting dealt to the Reds, where he spent 7 years with Cincinnati from 2015 all the way to 2021. After 2021, he signed with the Mariners, played 2 years there, headed to Arizona for 2024, started the year with Arizona in 2025 before getting traded at the deadline back to the Mariners, and now he's going back to the Reds, which means after that he needs to go back to Detroit, and his career is a perfect rainbow. Anyways, Suarez is a guy who last year, between his time with Arizona and the Mariners, hit 49 home runs, basically 50 home runs. He was an all-star for the second time of his career, and he's only going to get a 1-year deal for $15 million after hitting 49 home runs. I understand where some teams are coming from to be scared of a guy like Suarez, who's going to be 34 years old. The age is up there. And when you look at his numbers, batting average 228, he's a guy that will strike out a lot. I mean, for crying out loud, for 3 or 4 years of his career, he's led all of MLB with strikeouts. The strikeout numbers are going to be there, but the home run numbers are still there. Like I said, 49 last year. He had 30 in 2024 with Arizona. And of course, these are ballparks where, they're not very hitter friendly. I'm not going to say Chase Field's an easy place to get a couple home runs. I was going to say Safeco. T-Mobile Park is not a place where hitters typically excel at. It's mainly a pitcher's park, and that's where he's been playing. Now, Great American Ballpark, I believe it's still called, in Cincinnati, that is a ballpark where hitters can hit. And if you go back to 2019, which is his other year where he hit 49 home runs, he's going back to a place to mash the baseball. That's what they're getting him for. Obviously, they don't need a third baseman. They have Ke'Bryan Hayes, who is stellar on defense. So if you're worried about Suarez playing defense, you're not. He's going to be the DH. He's going to be the everyday DH for a Reds team that made the postseason last year. And yes, it wasn't any spectacular postseason. They're a team that will be forgotten as, oh yeah, they went to the postseason in 2025. But this is a year where they can again make some noise. I feel like that NL Central is really up for grab. And the Reds are trying to make these improvements. They think they have a good team. I think they have a good team. And again, a guy like Suarez, where yes, he's 34 years old. Yes, he'll strike out a lot. The swing and miss is definitely there. He had an amazing first half with Arizona before really struggling when he went to Seattle. Coincidence, you went from a park where, hitting is not the easiest, but it's not also difficult, to Seattle, where it's one of like the bottom 5 places to hit. So of course your numbers are going to drop. I mean, you look at his career. The 2 years he spent in Seattle, those are the 2 years he led the league in strikeouts with 196 in 2022 and 214 strikeouts in 2023. Is that really a coincidence? I don't think so. I think that those are years where he will struggle because it's a hard place to hit. So put him in a place where it isn't hard to play it, and you're going to get results. I mean, you look at his numbers when he was with the Reds in his 7-year stint in Cincinnati from 15 all the way to 2021. He has a 12.8 WAR over 900 games with 828 hits, a total of 189 home runs, 524 RBIs driven in. The batting average hits at 253 while the OPS is at 811. Those are solid numbers for a pretty long stint. 7 years is not a short stint by any means. So he's heading back to Cincinnati for an 8th year with the Reds. That mutual option, probably forget about it with the way things are looking. I feel like a lot of deals have been getting these mutual options for 2027, these 1 year plus mutual option. Very unlikely that it would be taken up. We didn't get any information on that mutual option. We don't know what the buyout is. We don't know how much it is. Would it be another 15 million or would it be something else? That is all up in the air, but for now, the Reds are paying 15 million for Eugenio Suarez's services this year, and for the Reds, that's a great deal. You're getting a great ball player who hit 49 home runs last year, 118 RBIs. Like, that is a very good ball player. He's in the top 100 players according to MLB Network for a reason. So, I think the Reds got a steal here. I mean, I thought Suarez, maybe you could have gotten a second or third year for a little bit cheaper. But I mean, if I was an MLB team and I wanted Suarez, I'd be willing to go 1 year, 23 million, 24 million for a guy that hit 49 home runs. Like, yeah, the batting average 228. It's not there. You don't want league standards, but also it's a down year for a lot of guys in general. So I digress. I think Suarez is going to have a really nice year with the Reds. I think he's going to bounce back a little bit. Maybe that average goes up a little bit. But I really think he's had 2 seasons where he's hit 49 home runs. Suarez, before his playing day, he'll get a 50 bomb. I really believe in Suarez's swing. It's a nice swing. He's got all the power in the world. He can get to 50. I believe in Eugenio Suarez. Moving on, though, let's get into a different side of a ball player, really. You're going from the veteran old power bat to the young contact first power bat in Jacob Wilson, who is getting a nice extension from the Athletics, 7 years, $70 million with a club option for 2033. Now, Jacob Wilson, he finished runner-up in the Rookie of the Year voting this year, just behind his teammate Nick Kurtz. He is a dog, man. Jacob Wilson has already moved into my top 10 shortstops in the game right now. Watching him play last year was exciting. An all-star. Finished 18th in MVP voting in his first year, by the way. Played in 125 games where he knocked in 151 hits. He had 13 home runs with 63 RBIs. His OPS was 800 and his batting average was above 300 at 311. Check, check, check. This man checks us off all the boxes. He's got a little bit of power, but he's hitting first, getting that 3 batting average. He's got a nice glove. Honestly, it's a fantastic move. The A's continue to lock up some of these young talents. They did this with Butler. They've done it with Soderstrom. Now they've done it with Wilson. I'm sure they're trying and hoping to get it with Kurtz as well. They are really starting to cement this future A's for what will be the new Las Vegas team coming up. But you're really starting to see it. And the A's this year, and I said it last year, I think, but definitely this year, they have a real shot to make noise in the AL West if all things go according to plan. Remember, last year, they started off the year very hot. They were leading the AL West. And then they had a really rough May. They had 2 10-plus losing streaks in the span of a month. And from there, their season got derailed. But even towards the end, they still kind of crawled back and got close. For me, the A's lineup is a top 5, top 10 lineup in baseball. It's the pitching staff that really needs to show that work and find its improvements to really make this A's team a scary team in the future. So that's where I'd be focusing on if I was the A's. Maybe you can go and sign someone still for the rotation to help out because, again, with the core, with Wilson, Brent Rooker still around. He was the first guy to kind of emerge here, the veteran guy. You bring in Kurtz, you have Shea Langoliers, Lawrence Butler. Like, you have a very solid lineup, build up a rotation around these guys. And honestly, the way the offseason has gone, like, yeah, the Mariners are still going to be the favorite probably. The Astros maybe will be in the mix. I don't know how Texas will be. The A's could be a real shot at like third place in the division fighting for a wild card spot. Like, that is the reality of what the A's could be in 2026, which would be very exciting. As an A's fan, that would be very, very exciting to see, to have your team kind of already be back in like the bottom feeder scrumming for a wild card mix instead of just being a bottom feeder team where you're just like, you know, trying to not lose 90 plus games. Like, that's where we're at with the A's. And Jacob Wilson is a fantastic player. He's going to be a guy that can kind of be the face of the franchise, kind of be a leader for that team. That's the vibe I'm getting when I look at this guy. So fantastic. All the way around for him. Good job on getting paid. And the thing is, too, he's a young kid. He's only, 22, 23 years old, I think. I think he's going to be 23 or 24 this year. His arbitration deals would have been in 28, 29, and 30. So at most, without this extension, he would have been a free agent in 2031. This deal will go through the entire team control right now, giving him $10 million each year. And that still gives the A's another 2 years on top of that, and essentially 3 years if they take the club option. So if they take the club option, which the rate he's at right now most likely will happen, he'll be with the A's until 2033, where he'll be a free agent in 2034, where he'll still be, 29 years old? 30 years old? Like, he still can go and get a big contract afterwards as well if he so chooses to do so. So for the A's, absolutely love it. When you can knock down a young, talented kid like this, and 7 years, $70 million, is he really going to be worse than this deal? I don't think so. So for Wilson, get your money up. Now you don't have to worry about arbitrations. You don't have to worry about that. You get a little bit more chunk of change now as well while you're still young and going through those renewable, pre-arb years of the deal. So yeah, everything about this, I love. Love it for Wilson, love it for the A's, love it for baseball. These are some of my favorite types of deals to see young kids get in a bag for like 6-7 years to get them through the team control. You kind of lock it up. And as an A's fan, you now know that you're guaranteed this guy until at least 2032, maybe 2033 with the club option there as well. So good stuff for the A's and for Wilson. Let's move on here and get to talk about Luis Arraez, because he is signing with the San Francisco Giants, another 1-year deal with $12 million. He'll be moving back to second base. That is a speculation and most likely what will be happening for Arraez here. And I got to say first, before we talk about the ball player and talk about the move, and this kind of goes back with Suarez. Suarez hit 50 home runs. Luis Arraez has been a top bat in terms of contact and limiting the strikeout rate for years now. And these guys are getting 1-year deals? Like, I don't believe that. Luis Arraez is getting $12 million. That's the same as Dustin May. That's less than Dustin May, who has been horrid. And obviously, I know you can't really compare a pitcher's salary to a hitter's salary because that's just the way the market will dictate. I mean, you look at Gleyber Torres. Yes, he got the qualifying offer and honestly, smartly took the deal for $22 million. But if you told me right now I have $22 million to pay for a second baseman, do I want Gleyber or do I want Luis Arraez? I would take Luis Arraez. Yeah, the defense isn't as good maybe for Arraez as Gleyber, but with Arraez, you're guaranteed a batting average close to 300, and he's going to probably lead the league in strikeout rate. Like, that's just what he does. It's what he's done so much. You look at Suarez really quickly. I mean, the guy's got, 15 million? He's getting paid the same as Steven Matz. And again, pitcher's market, it's hard to compare. But like a guy like Harrison Bader, yeah, I don't know. Like there's something with some teams here. They're not valuing some players, and maybe I'm wrong, but I value Luis Arraez like crazy. This guy has three batting titles, man. He led batting average in 2022, 2023, and 2024. Mind you, 2023 with Miami, he had a 354 batting average. Yeah, he's not going to hit as many home runs, but like still, this is a dog. He's an absolute dog. This year, you could say was his worst year of his career with the Padres here. I mean, he played in 154 games. He had 181 hits, which it led. He had a 292 batting average. That's the worst batting average. It's the first year of his career where his batting average was below 300, and it was by barely anything. His OPS 719, sure, but he's not going to hit many home runs to begin with. He actually had 8 home runs, which is his second highest of his career. He had 10 with Miami in 2023. That was definitely the best year of his career. But I mean, he finished sixth in Rookie of the Year voting. He's a 3-time All-Star, 3-time batting title, a 2-time Silver Slugger. And by the way, his strikeout numbers, the most strikeouts he's ever had in a single season is 48. 48 strikeouts. Some guys strike out 48 times in a month, let alone a full season of baseball. 48 strikeouts. That is absurd. 2025, last year, he struck out 21 times. I was doing some hot and colds where guys were striking out 15 times in a week, and this guy struck out 21 times in a full season. Put the ball in play, good things will happen. He'll get some sac flies, he'll move some runners over. He is the definition of a great ball player, a great batsman when it comes to the contact ability. Like, he is exactly what you want, and I'm surprised not as many teams were in on him. I'm surprised he's only getting a 1-year deal. It's 7-year career for him. He has over 1,000 hits. He has over 300 RBIs driven in. He has a 317 batting average across 7 years. 317. I don't think anyone in today's game of baseball can say across 7 years they've have a batting average over 300, let alone to 317. That's high. That is extremely high. He's extremely talented. I think the Giants are getting a great ball player, and this goes back to the other episode with when I was talking about the Giants. I mean, the Giants could be a real threat in the NL West. And I know we're all being like, oh, well, it's going to be the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers to lose. It is the Dodgers to lose. But when you start to realize like, oh, Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, they're all in the similar boat. Right now, as it stands, if we're going on a full team's perspective, I think the Giants on paper are second. I love their lineup. I think having Logan Webb with Robbie Ray, if he can kind of bounce back, Tyler Mahle, the way he was pitching a little bit with Texas last year, on paper, I think I would take the Giants to finish second and maybe even pose that threat to the Dodgers. They keep getting guys. It'll be interesting to see. Luis Arraez probably now leads off in the lineup there. So you could run a lineup where you have Luis Arraez batting first, Willy Adames bats second, you have Rafael Devers batting third, Chapman bats fourth. That's a very, very good first 4 in your lineup there. I think the Giants are going to be a real threat. We'll see what else happens this offseason. But again, he was a top 5 in bat. Despite 292 being the lowest in his 7-year career, he was still top 5 in batting average in the NL. And this guy's only getting a 1-year deal because of what? I have no idea. But Luis Arraez, you're a dog. Good luck in San Francisco. Rooting for you to have a spectacular season. And again, staying in the NL West, so he's already familiar with the 4 teams he sees the most, including the Padres, who he's been on. So that's where we're at with the Luis Arraez situation here. Hopefully, he proves everyone wrong because he is a dog. Him and Suarez And anyone who's still free agent, really, like there are some guys who just deserve these chances, and they've been getting these 1 year deals worth what, pennies on the dollars. Like, I don't know. Not speaking. This is just a different, completely. Anyways, the Chicago White Sox. Let's talk about the Chicago White Sox because they have made a couple of moves here, including the signing of Austin Hayes to a 1 year deal worth $5 million with a mutual option for 2027. Like I said, with Suarez mutual options, I kind of just feel like everyone's getting it just so they can be declined. It's a $1 million buyout for Hayes, so it's basically a 1 year, $6 million deal. That's how I would view it. Not only are they signing Austin Hayes, but they're also acquiring Jordan Hicks from the Red Sox. The full trade goes down as the White Sox getting Jordan Hicks and David Sandlin, plus two players to be named later. In exchange, the Red Sox are getting Gage Zahil and a player to be named later. And you're thinking, wow, the White Sox got a major league talent in Jordan Hicks and three prospects, one that they already know and two to be named later, and all they gave up was two other prospects. Like, this is a really good deal for the White Sox. Why would the Red Sox make this trade? Well, it has to do with the financials of it, of course. Jordan Hicks, he signed a 4 year deal worth $44 million with the Giants in 2024. So Hicks is getting paid 12.5 this year and 12.5 next year as well, which is basically not basically, it's $25 million still on his contract that the White Sox are now taking over. So the White Sox are paying for his contract, and they're getting a guy who, kind of maybe leads their rotation now. Like, I'm not exactly sure how they would feel, but, you have a guy like that. Maybe he comes out of the bullpen. Like, I don't know what his deal is, but, the White Sox are getting major league talent, which, to be honest with you, when you actually look at the Chicago White Sox, they've done a lot of that compared to other teams in the Central. I mean, I was thinking about it. The Royals haven't done much. The Guardians haven't done much. The Tigers, I guess, would be the team that has done the most in terms of like the top teams from last year. When you think of like, they've picked up Kenley Jansen, they got Gleyber Torres on their qualifying offer, they signed Kyle Finnegan. So like, the Tigers have done a little bit more compared to the Royals and the Guardians, who are supposed to be like the other two kind of top teams in that Central. But the White Sox have been the team that has done the most. They've signed Munetaka Murakami. They signed Sir Anthony Dominguez. They've traded away Luis Robert Jr., but they've brought in Luis Angel Acuna. They've signed Sean Newcomb. They signed Anthony Kay. Now you bring in Hayes. Now you bring in Hicks. I mean, the White Sox have put together, in my opinion, a very good offseason for them and their standards. To give you a little rundown on Austin Hayes here, he was a long-time Baltimore from 2017 all the way to 2023, where in 2023 he had a phenomenal year, posting his first and only to this point All-Star appearance. He started the year in 2024 with Baltimore before getting traded to Philly to help in their postseason run. He did struggle a little bit when he was with Philly. He then ended up he signed with the Reds last year. And in that year, he played in 103 games with 101 hits. He had 15 home runs, a 266 batting average, and a 768 OPS. So nothing that stands out as phenomenal, but this is a guy who, in a good lineup, is still a good ball player, falls in about 7th in the lineup, and he'll give you a productive at-bat. Now, going to the White Sox, on the other hand, he will probably be in the middle of that lineup. He will be part of the offense. And I mean, the White Sox, for the first time since, really tearing it down and becoming the worst baseball team ever created just a couple years ago, they've already kind of rebounded to a point where you look at their lineup and you recognize these names and you're like, wow, this is actually a pretty, not great, but it's a lineup that will run out there and they could put up 10 to 15 runs in a ball game. Chase Mydroth had a fantastic year last year. How about Kyle Teal, Colson Montgomery? He's the next big thing. Those are three young kids who we got a little bit of a glimpse of last year, they all kind of produced pretty well. You mix in some talent like Miguel Vargas and Andrew Benintendi, like we've seen before. Now you bring in a veteran guy like Austin Hayes in that lineup. You have Mutaka Murakami, and that is a top seven that you're like, wow, these are all names that I kind of know. You mix in your bench guys of Linian Sosa, Luis Angel Acuna, Corey Lee. You got Brooks Baldwin, Edgar Quiero, like guys who are, short sample sizes, but we've heard these names now a couple years for the White Sox. And last year was a surprising year, and I think this year might be even more surprising. I'm not saying the White Sox are going to go win the division. I'd be shocked. But, like, they are putting themselves in a position where, another year or two develop. Like, you could really be, shocking baseball a little bit soon. The White Sox could be coming back into the mix sooner than you think here. Looking at Jordan Hicks quickly because we have yet to talk about him. He started out his career as a bullpen guy and always was with the Cardinals. He debuted back in 2018 with St. Louis and spent 5 years in the Cardinals organization up until 2023, where he was traded to the Blue Jays at the deadline. That 2023 year was his final year of his contract, and it was a good one. He was pitching very well with St. Louis. He came over to Toronto, and in Toronto, in 25 games, he pitched a 2.63 ERA out of the pen. Very impressive stuff, and has always limited the home run ball. The most home runs he's given up in a single season before his contract was in St. Louis. Back in 2022, he gave up 5 home runs, but he limits the home runs. All the things that you like in a bullpen guy, you check off the list. Then he goes into his walk year. He signs with the Giants, but he signs to be a starter. I mean, this guy was always one of those really good bullpen arms. And then all of a sudden, after one of his best stints of his career with Toronto, decides to go and be a starter and change everything because, obviously personal reasons. You want to be a starter, you go be a starter, sure. In 29 games, he ended up making 20 starts with the Giants that year in 2024. He had a 4.10 ERA, one of the worst ERAs of his career, realistically. Then last year, started the year with San Francisco, pitched to a 6.47 across 13 games, 9 of which were starts. The Giants said no thank you. He was one of the big pieces that kind of went, or like one of the big names that went to Boston in the Rafael Devers trade. He was traded last year from the Giants to Boston for Devers and part of that deal there. When he was in Boston, they said, we're not starting you. You're going to be out of the bullpen. And in 21 games and 18 and 2/3 innings, he gave up 17 earned runs, an ERA of 8.20. So last year in total, he went 2-7, a 6.95 ERA, the worst year of his career, across 34 games where he made 9 starts. And to be honest with you, I think this comes down to trying to be a starter when your stuff is more set to be out of the bullpen. 12.5 is a lot for a bullpen arm, but realistically, if I'm the White Sox, I think you try to stick him in the bullpen from the start. Let him, figure it out there. Maybe he could be the setup for Sir Anthony Dominguez. Like, that's the ideal dream 1-2 if you're the White Sox. If you guys do plan on starting him, be careful because the 2 years that he has been trying to start haven't been great. So I think this is more suited for the bullpen, if I'm being honest. But yeah, that's where we're at there with Jordan Hicks. And the White Sox, again, being, I guess, the most successful team of the offseason in the AL Central, which I don't know what that means for them going into 2026. But as a bystander, outside perspective of like, well, how the offseason has gone, I think the White Sox have had a very successful offseason. I think they would be placed in like the top 10 teams of the offseason so far. So good for them. Last little bit of news to come out of baseball world is that David Robertson has announced his retirement for good. David Robertson, long career. And what a guy, what a bullpen piece, and what a hero for many teams. Of course, specifically with the Yankees, he has spent 17 years of his life playing Major League Baseball. He has one All Star appearance. He has one World Series ring back in 2009, his second year of his career. He broke out with the Yankees in 2008, and he had played with the Yankees all the way up until 2024. Was his final year with the Yankees. He then spent 2.5 years with the White Sox before he got traded back to the Yankees in 2017. Spent the year there with them afterwards as well in 2018 before becoming a journeyman. He was spent a year with Philly in 2019, did not play during COVID with an injury. Then in 2021, he was with the Rays. 2022, he was with the Cubs, then traded to the Phillies. 2023, he was with the Mets, traded to the Marlins. 2024 with Texas, and then 2025 back with Philly. When you add up all of those teams and years, you get 17 years, 21.9 WAR, a 68-46 win-loss record, a 2.93 ERA across 881 games, where he had 179 saves throughout 894 innings, where he struck out 1,176 batters. He is a guy who was well known around the league, well liked as well. And you look at his numbers too. I mean, a lot of those numbers were really solid, even towards the end. I mean, he was 40 last year with Philly, and in 20 games, he had a 4 ERA. That's pretty good. It was 17 innings, small sample size. You have one bad start. The year before at Texas, he was very good with Texas. Across 68 games at the age of 39, logged 72 innings and had a 3 ERA. That's pretty phenomenal. Of course, the height and the best years of his career does come with the Yankees, including 2011, which goes down as the best year of his career. Across 70 games, he pitched 66 and 2/3 innings. He gave up only one home run, 8 earned runs, struck out 100 batters, and had a 1.08 ERA that year. He was phenomenal. He finished 11th in Cy Young voting, and that was his one and only year as an All-Star. Very impressive. He never got to be the closer with the Yankees in those teams until 2014. Excuse me. That was his first year kind of being the closer. He ended up logging 39 saves, which will go down as his career high. Then with the White Sox, 34, 37. The White Sox have the most saves of his career. He's 84 saves with the White Sox in his 179. So, yeah, just a phenomenal pitcher, a great guy. He's always good to see, even like when a guy can get that late into a career, especially some of those pitchers, yes, the bullpen arm is a little bit easier. I mean, 894 innings is, for some starters, that's like 5 years, and this guy went 17 years. So, there is a difference in terms of the health and like being able to stay healthy for some bullpen arms. But when you get a guy who goes into his 40s and he's still going out there, giving his all every day for a baseball team and for the fans, that's a guy that deserves all the respect in the world. And David Robertson is definitely one of those guys. So congratulations to David Robertson on a crazy long 17-year career. Enjoy the retirement. And I'm sure, that 30 jersey for the Yankees will be one that is definitely, maybe not immortalized, but definitely remembered fondly. I'm sure Yankees fans have a lot of great memories of David Robertson, especially, towards the end of that decade back in the 2000s. That 2009 World Series, definitely a big moment for him and his career as well. Good to have a ring to showcase. So, yeah. Good stuff all the way around. But ladies and gentlemen, that will take us to the end of today's episode. There's still plenty of free agents still on the market. Baseball is coming. Pitchers and catchers reporting soon. Spring training, 3 weeks away, not even. Like, it's a good time to love baseball. And if you're here listening to this, I appreciate you as always. Thank you, everybody, so much. And I will see you next time.